Alrighty. Yeah, we get anybody on the, Justin's joining us?
Nobody on there.
Nobody on there? Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, Chair will call the meeting to order, and the first thing I adjourn is to review the capital request from the dietary today.
Well, actually, we're gonna, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, we'd like to start with the House of Correction.
Okay, it's fine with me.
And I think your papers are in that order.
All right. Okay, well, that's the capital request here. Wow, it's a big document, huh?
There's a few.
Alrighty, hey, Chris.
So, under the capital improvement, first of all, thank you for everybody for allowing me to go first. I appreciate that. Under the 6-year capital improvement program, I'm requesting, approximately 6 different items over the next 6 years. In order, the very first thing that we're gonna talk about is the, upgrade to our video surveillance system. If you remember, a couple of years ago, we went out to bid on that. We've got an updated bid, and that's included in your packet. In essence, what we're looking to do is we're looking to replace a system that's about 21 years old. Anybody who dabbles in technology will understand that 21 years is a significant duration of time to utilize technology. The system that we're looking to install has been vetted by Paul Simon, our electronic security consultant. It is the system that is that best is implemented into our existing system that we have. And we have been able to utilize new technology to get better coverage. And it'll be a clearer system, and some of the technology that's out there now allows us to do something called painting the system, which allows you to select an individual that you want to follow, and you can see where they travel. As you know, our surveillance system is not a method of monitoring. Our surveillance system is a method of ensuring that we have footage of stuff that happens. Our monitoring happens by our staff. The electronic security is something that we rely upon in the event that we get information after the fact, so that we can go back and take action when needed.
Chris, could you go back just one step
Sure.
and just let everybody know what this security system does in
Sure.
the facility?
Yep, the electronic security system is what oversees the entirety, all of the visual surveillance that we have inside the facility, as well as outside the facility. It has the ability to monitor our perimeter, which is something that our federal partners find to be exceptionally important. And it has the ability to monitor inside the housing units, as well as all of the areas inside the facility that the central control operator cannot see directly from their chair. If you go back approximately 21 years to when we opened, it was designed to have sight lines in mind. So all of the main doors where you would go to and come out of, you can see right from the officer station and central control. Anything that you can't see, we have cameras right there to be able to see who's coming in. So if you come in from reception, for example, they can identify who's coming in before they actually open the door to let somebody come in. It integrates seamlessly in with our intercom system. And that was one of the things that we were very concerned about. That's why we consulted with our electronic security consultant on this project, so.
Isn't he ready to retire?
He's not ready to retire, but he just started talking to me about an exit strategy over the next 5 to 7 years.
He's been great.
He has been fantastic, and really just a fountain of information and a wealth of knowledge that we've been able to call upon sometimes at 2:30 in the morning. So
If you remember, Mr. Chairman, he's the one that originally designed the system. With Rosser International when they were designing the House of Correction. Affectionately called Paul Two Shoes.
Two shoes, right?
Because he'd wear 2 different shoes when he did this, but it's Paul Simon and he's done a great job for us.
yeah. So that is the first item that I'd like to talk to you about. The second item is to replace the dryers in jail industries. As you know, we do laundry for the jail. for Riverside Rest Home, Hyder Family Hospice, sometimes Hope Memorial Humane Society. And while those aren't 21 years old, they're about 19 years old. And for us to continue that process, it's a short investment as opposed to exploring laundry services that we would contract out. We've been able to utilize those dryers, and we've been able to keep them running thus far. I feel as though that we can't do that through the next 6-year period, and that is why both myself and Captain Wisegover have suggested that we look into replacing those.
Also, Mr. Chairman, if you remember, during challenging times like COVID, we also did laundry for Wentworth Douglas. To help them out because they didn't have the capacity to do it.
I'm surprised the Barons are even held out. And
Well, I mean, we have a pretty good system of preventative maintenance, but still, 19 years being used. 8-10 hours a day, they've held up for all those years.
I bet you the next ones won't hold up that long.
Right,
That's the problem.
Yeah.
true.
Third on my list is a freezer for the jail kitchen. As you know, we share freezer storage over with Riverside Rest Home. And that has been, we've been very fortunate to have the ability to do so. When we built the facility, it has the platform already there.
Yeah.
We've explored options on how we can get power out there, and we have an electrician on staff that would be able to do the work. It's just getting the freezer here. That allows for us to have easier accessibility to be able to get the items, and it also allows for us to purchase additional items in bulk to be able to save money across a long term.
And this also makes it easier for us to have a little more of a variety in menu.
That's correct.
Chris,
Yeah, because you have more capacity.
well, it's a different generation of people that you're feeding. If you think about it, and how we save in bulk now is we buy, the same type of products. And feed both the House of Correction and Riverside similarly, with products, but this would allow us a little more flexibility and allow us to buy, perhaps a little more economically.
One thing in particular, to piggyback off of, what Administrator Bauer was talking about is when we purchase halal meals, as you know, that we're required to provide religious diet for
Right.
those that are in custody. All too often, they will complain because we only have 6 or 7 different meals that we go through rotation. And this allows for us to have additional storage to be able to accommodate those requirements that are set forth from the Bureau of Prisons. Next on the list is another kitchen item, which is a new dishwasher. Commissioner McGlaris, you can speak probably to this because this is something that you took a look at when you did our recent jail inspection. The dishwasher has been there for the life of the building, and it is something that is again utilized over and over and over throughout the day. And it's used 7 days a week, 365 days a year. So we're looking to see if we can replace that. The one that's been presented in front of you is one that can basically form fit to go into the existing area with minimal adjustments needed to the kitchen. Following that, I'd like to talk a little bit about the therapeutic community. If you remember when the therapeutic community was implemented, it was after we decided that work release was not going to be as prominent as we thought during the design process. So in that work release area, we had different bathroom setups that were in there, and it was tiled. And so we would like to come up with a way in which we can adjust the bathroom setup in there, retile in there, and that's what this request is to go in and retile this section. It's not something that is needed tomorrow, but it is something that I think we can't wait for another 6 years to be able to make sure that we can keep people in there, house them in there, and continue to do the good work that we're doing in the therapeutic community. There will be an interruption in that process, but we're coming up with options on how we'll be able to continue the therapeutic community while we have to do work in those areas, so that it won't impact the recovery programs that we offer inside the House of Corrections.
Are we upgrading the shower? There's a shower in there? How?
So there's showers that are in there and it's tiled. Originally,
We went to stainless and the other.
yeah, if we go back to, when we went to upgrade the showers throughout the facility, we were going to put in stainless units inside all of the units. Unfortunately, during that time, an implementation of steel tariffs were put, and then the cost of steel went through the roof, which is why we went to an epoxy, alternative. And that's the project that we most recently did in all of the housing units, with exception of Unit J. We completed Unit J with with stainless steel showers, prior to the cost skyrocketing for steel. And the last thing that I'm requesting that you take a look at, on this capital improvement program is, a new cruiser for the jail. We have two cruisers, one of which is a Dodge Charger. I'm seeking to replace the Dodge Charger. If you remember correctly, the Charger is one that went through an accident about, I don't know, 10 years or so ago. It is still, the Charger is still functioning now, but it has lived its life. And I would like to propose that we invest in a new cruiser for the Department of Corrections. We have two, one has a cage and one does not. The one with the cage is so that we can do transports. As you know, under 30B, we have the ability to do transports under armed transports with specialized training. And then we have another one that's an administrative vehicle that gets utilized primarily by individuals going back and forth to the academy, but we don't want to use the same one in the event that we need to transport somebody. That's why we have two cruisers. And that is the items that we're looking for you to take into consideration.
Questions right now? No?
Just one thing, as you know, Mr. Chairman, we'll assuming these things are approved, we would be going out to bid or looking at the state bid. I think we might be able to shave some dollars off that, cruiser. I'm not positive of that, because I know Gwen, if Gwen asked for it, Gwen is, Captain Weisgarber, I'm sorry, is the person that does the state bid stuff, so, I'm not questioning. It just seems like a lot of money, but we would either go out to bid or accept a state bid, one or the other, should these things be approved.
And we're not looking to get a functional vehicle.
You don't want any mag wheels, you don't want any Bose stereo system?
No,
No skylights?
no, sunroof, the sunroof is an escape risk.
You're gonna paint it
I don't
green,
want that.
paint it green? Decals, all right. Go rabbit, right? All right. Well, thanks, Chris. No roof stuff, huh? So far, I know we did some repairs.
Yeah, we've done some repairs thus far. Everything seems to be in good working order. I've talked with Doug about that, and there appears to be preventative maintenance that we are doing that keeps things up and running there right now. We did just do some work on our boiler system as well, and that seems to be in good working order as well. So that's one of the things that Doug and I discussed when we started talking about capital improvement stuff, and we feel as though that through the work that the maintenance department does and the ongoing preventative maintenance that we have contracted with those groups that maintain our rooftop units like Train, we can minimize any additional costs that need to be bonded out.
One other thing, Mr. Chairman, you know that in this year, 2024's capital, we did replace, the job just finished. Or as soon as the 90-degree days ended, the job finished for the front part of the jail. It wasn't the inmate part of the jail, it was, medical forward towards booking. But Chris was kind enough to buy some fans, because as you can imagine, it's not,
It was hot.
it's not like you can open the windows.
All right, well, I guess we're good for now. Thanks, Chris.
Thank you very much.
You wanna do, which one you wanna do next, Ray? You want to go out there?
Whatever would have come next.
Dietary can go. So we're,
That'll be a big.
dietary's asking for 4 different things on the 6-year capital plan. The first one, we thought that was, the most important would be a dish machine, just like the drill. It's probably at least 25 years old, as far as I know.
Have we replaced that dish machine, George? Do you remember?
Yeah, we did once, but it was a long time ago.
I've been
See,
there
I don't,
24
I
years.
remember when we renovated the kitchen.
When we renovated the kitchen, I thought we changed it.
Yeah,
I
I
thought
think
when
that's
we
what
went to the
changed it.
dining room, with the extension on the
Yeah,
dining
that
room.
was probably 30 years
Yeah,
ago.
it's gotta be. Yeah, I think it was in 91, 92.
No, there's a plaque up there, so we. I'm pretty sure it's that age.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's.
We did some other, we bought some other equipment that time too.
Yeah, we brought a lot of new stuff when we
Stuff.
renovated the
Yeah,
kitchen.
when we renovated the kitchen.
Yeah,
It was old then.
right? Yeah, so we're running into some issues where they actually don't make some of the parts.
Right.
Too, so, that's one thing that I'm afraid of, since we do use it quite a bit, 3 meals a day.
Well, when it pops up, the glass goes, you're gonna replace it because when you need it, you get.
Yeah.
It's not like you-
Well, I mean, the whole theory of the capital plan is to try and replace things
Right.
before the emergency occurs.
All right,
The second one we have is, kitchen equipment upgrade, which would be fryer-later. We have one little 2-basket fryer-later, just not enough to keep up with some of the fish products that we make for the residents, fries, chicken, all that. A robo-coop, so some cooking equipment that is needed. The robo-coop is used to texturize a lot of the foods and stuff like that, so that gets a lot
you
of
saw
use.
that big Hobart mixer over there?
Yeah,
We do.
yeah, you do.
Yeah,
If you remember too, Mr. Chairman, you guys got a presentation on ITSE, which is
Yeah.
the IDDS, why would we move to the new, when we changed over to the new diet mechanisms.
Hmm.
And everybody's, now using, it's international now. So when people come back from the hospital, this will help us better prepare, to comply with those
Right.
4 different diets. 3 of the ITSEs, I think 3 of the 7 of the ITSE are liquid fluids.
With that, we were thinking that, and then something really important on that would be the heated cabinet.
Yeah.
It's been really hard for us to keep the food warm, so we're actually using ovens right now to kind of keep the food warm, but it's actually like cooking it
right.
more, so the heated cabinet.
That'll be as he transports to the unit.
One time we had 5 of them, do we still have 5?
Well, we do some feeding from food carts. Unit 2, unit 5.
We have unit 4 per card right now. The rest are on steam tables. Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I
so
meant.
unit
Yeah.
2, 1, and 5. All steam tables.
So that, as you know,
How are they holding up?
They need to be replaced too.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Yeah.
They don't
they've been
last
there.
forever.
Maintenance has been pretty busy,
They don't last forever.
yeah.
Congratulations to Doug for keeping them going.
Yeah,
Doug and crew.
Yeah,
don't we have somebody under it now doing the electrical work to one right now?
yeah,
Yeah.
they perform pretty well, though, they're pretty rugged units.
So, and a third one is the walk-ins and
Yeah.
stuff. We just got, the compressor fixed, which has been really good, but we're looking to just remodel all those. We have like 3 different ones. We have like a meat one, walk-in, and then milk cooler one and the produce one. So we can just kind of open it up more, just to organize the food and store it properly.
So because we replaced the compressor in one of our
Yeah.
existing walk-ins, it's a bigger unit. So the quote that we have here would actually be about $15,000 less. Because we can use that compressor when we go to remodel.
Right. Yeah. They don't make those compressors like they used to do.
No.
They don't last. They just don't, you know. I won't say where they're being made.
And then the last one we have is, basically like the tray line remodel upgrade. Right now, this does not seem to be working like efficient enough. We have wires like on the ground. So electrical issues going on there. It's like. What is that?
You're talking about the tree line that we're talking, are you talking about out front or out back?
Out back,
Out back?
yeah, so they do that for unit 4.
Oh, yeah.
So they do, there's a second assembly line
Right.
that they do trays for. There, we have staff that are actually walking over the wires. But they're not wires, what are they?
The wire.
Huh? The
The
wires.
wires, yeah.
The cords, right? You got the cords.
The other thing, Mr. Chairman, I just want to mention, you know that all of the expenses, all of the capital money that's spent at Riverside is all reimbursable. It all comes back to us in our Medicaid rate.
Yeah.
In fact, one of the reasons why our Medicaid rate tends to be lower than any of the county homes has everything to do with the fact that we don't have any, we have very little capital to depreciate compared to, you know, pretty much every other county.
Right.
Because every other county is still depreciating their buildings.
Yeah, they're building, yeah, they're still.
You know, because I think we're now that we are now have the distinction of having the oldest nursing home of the 11 county nursing homes. We are now the oldest, now that they've upgraded.
So when does that money come back? How many years is it spread out?
It's the depreciable life of the product, you know, based on the IRS code. Diane can answer that better than I.
Yeah, so what we get back is the depreciation every year, not the actual cost. So as Ray said, our depreciation, where we're not depreciating any buildings at this point, it's pretty low. So it's over a period of time.
And it does count interest also.
Yeah, like for example, the dietary equipment that these ladies are talking about, it's probably a 20-year useful life that we depreciate over. So we get it back over 20 years, but you know, it's compounded every year, of course. So
Yeah,
we're buying new things and.
They inflate it and also, it's interest included. So if you bond it,
Right.
you get the interest, you know, that's built into the base cost.
And that would also be true of a new building, correct?
Yeah,
Sure, the only thing that's.
there's a limit though.
The only thing that's different with the new building is there's a limit. That's why, even though apparently some people disputed the Commissioner of Health and Human Services who did the financial presentation for us, she actually calculated the reimbursable amount that we would get every year as a result of the new building.
Okay,
Thank you,
that's it?
yeah, that's it. Thank you.
Wow.
You expecting more?
Yeah, I was actually. It's old over there. A lot of old stuff in that building.
Yeah,
Well, we did buy some new
We did,
equipment items
yeah.
in the last
Right.
capital plan.
Yeah.
So obviously those items aren't repeated.
We'll get two of them, I just.
Yeah, one just had all of their service.
Yeah, okay.
There's like-
All right, all right.
there's a lot in there.
Okay, well, thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
You got any
Okay,
questions?
we're good to go.
Robert? Yeah? Okay. All right then. I guess we're gonna move on to the sheriff's department.
Sheriff's and dispatch.
Right, we'll start with the dispatch center and fairly technical items on the list. So we brought our resident expert, Justin Bellin, and he can answer any questions in detail after the presentation as well.
Can I just mention one thing before we start? All of this equipment is to benefit the towns. Okay, none of this equipment benefits the cities,
Right,
because we don't dispatch for the cities.
right.
But I know the subject of what the county does for the towns has been an issue. I just want to make sure it's absolutely clear that any of this money that's asked or requested here is for the benefit of the towns that we dispatch for. You're on, young man.
And the cities pay 60% of the bill.
Yeah,
Yeah, so we won't talk about that. That's just a minor issue.
go
All
ahead.
right,
So our top priority is replacing the CAD and RMS system. Sure you folks have heard the name IMC before.
Yeah.
It's been around since the late nineties with us. In 2012, we turned it into a multi-agency system where everybody became a member of our hub that we dispatch for. That product, without them telling us, is headed for end of life. They won't give us a definitive time, but the writings on the wall and support has already started to dwindle for that. We're having a real tough time
what is,
getting things addressed.
what are the cities? I know the cities moved to another,
Rochester with the CSI.
CSI, yeah. And Dover's, I think Dover's done this. Dover was with CSI for a while.
Yep.
Wow, right?
They're both running dual systems right now. They're old and the new.
Dover, no.
This was the lesson we had learned.
Yeah,
Pause.
yeah.
Because they're finding out the data is not necessarily compatible.
So how's this gonna affect law enforcement? I mean, when you think about it, you got two systems, one's gonna be phased out. Is there is CSI trying to figure out how to interface with?
So- Originally, they had sold the product. You guys. Sold the product that the data from INC, they could pull in the databases, convert everything. And it was like you didn't miss a step, it just looked different. That's. Or a bad mouth company, that's not working out as
Okay,
advertised. So you've got agencies running their IMC system and their new CSI system. What he's gonna talk about is switching to a Motorola. It used to be known as Spellman back in the late eighties, early nineties. And then it was purchased by Motorola and they ran with it. It's a nationwide system. Motorola has assured us they can convert our data. It'll be imported into this new system and you haven't missed a step. And the quote they were also talking about is including all of the towns as well. Because they're all on IMC as well.
right.
So if we change one, we've got to change everybody.
Well, we just took away all your whole stuff.
Sorry.
Forget it, you're at, I'm just kidding.
What the major was talking about, we're trying to avoid the issue some other agencies have already gone through with making painful switches. So we've
Yeah.
done some research on that to hopefully prevent that from being the case.
Okay.
The proposal we have in front of you is from Motorola. It's called the Flex Suite. Used to be known as Spellman. They've been around for a long time. They're used all over the country. The entire state of Maine and state of Vermont use this platform. It just never made it back to New Hampshire once IMC came out. There were some agencies on Spellman before IMC. I know Somersworth was one of them. Not sure who else were on.
Somersworth was on Spellman originally. This is also the one that we had the meeting with the chiefs. So we had Motorola come out, present what you have, the chiefs were involved, they sat, looked at the product, said, I don't like CSI, I like this. Which was the whole idea of getting the chiefs there, because it's gonna be
Sure.
their agency dealing with it. So they've got their support.
This can't be an easy.
It's gonna be a project. It's gonna take, that's why it's on this plan. This is not a 2 or 3 month project.
Right.
You know, we're gonna have to get data converted, make sure that the systems are all up to date. This is all included in the quote. And then it carries us out for 3 years, I believe,
5 years.
5 years, which is. These annual fees with the software and they're not cheap, so that's all wrapped in for the next 5 years as well.
Well, part of our quote building process with these guys is they came here, saw how the operation worked. They went from dispatch all the way through to investigation, see how everybody uses the software, exactly what we needed. They spent some time on the street with all the PDs, seeing how they use the software in their vehicles, at their PDs, how they do booking. So, they've thought of every piece of the software we'll need and how it would integrate with the processes that we use. There's a large packet of information from them on the details of the software, but I know the, stuff you guys are real curious about. But they have offered us for being they're gonna call it the first in the state discount, that's what they called
First in the state discount.
it.
All right.
For us being the first large agency in the state with it. It's $1,131,638 for year one. And that is the software and support for 5 years.
So it's different than what we see here.
No, sorry. 1388 is the total.
Okay, all right, so that's a correct total. I
So
got you.
that's the year one. Contract pricing through Sourcewell, which is the same thing the state bids use. Then they offer us a discount for being first in the state. And they broke it down into the support and equipment. So support for the first 5 years is almost $500,000. But that's for all agencies using the system, not just us, everybody across the board.
Now, how's this gonna work with all these Tonka trucks, and the equipment they have in these cruisers, you don't? You know,
Well, we're hoping to replace that with the grant that,
yeah.
This TDS funding will replace the radio part for the agencies that still have the old radio equipment, and that'll be a huge help. We have one agency that does not run computers in their vehicles right now, and the state has grants available for that. They just need to pursue that and get them essentially.
This does have the mobile software, that's what they're.
Yeah.
Yes, this includes the mobile software as well. that they use.
So this is all inclusive with dispatch, the police records and arrest reports, call logs,
Yeah,
all
it's
this.
soup and nuts.
Yeah,
pretty much.
It replaces IMC, it's just a newer version, it has a few more features on it. It's also integrated with our new radio system, where they're both from the same vendor, makes it easier on the support side.
our dispatch system for the radios ties into this system. Some stuff can be automated, speeding up some of those processes for the dispatchers.
I noticed that the cities had gone through this similar process. I know in Dover built a new police department, they went through this, and my concern at the time was is that we're not all able to talk to one another, which makes no sense at all. That really doesn't make any sense.
These guys
That's
do,
what I'm kind of concerned about. I mean, I'm not saying I know we're gonna have to switch,
Right.
but the municipalities are all, there's CSI, not saying I support CSI, I'm just saying, it's just gonna make it so much more difficult long-term to be able to collaborate, share information. I guess that's. If I'm all wrong, tell me.
we did see that challenge with the people cutting to CSI from IMC. We have an ability now called cross agency, and we've noticed the agencies dropping from that list as you go to
Yeah,
do that cross sharing of information. They have their own version of that. How it works, I
I don't know
really don't
how
know.
robust that really is.
Yeah.
You know, for a long time, the whole county was on IMC.
right.
Dover PD was the only one that
And
was
it
the
was off,
outlier.
with outline, right?
They had their own unique system, and it did hurt them. And it hurt us from being able to see what they were dealing with and vice versa, so we couldn't share records very easily. IMC had been statewide to the point where they were hubs, so you could run checks here and get reports out of Nashua, where the hub was, which was very convenient, but right now we're not in the same atmosphere that we were in back then, with consolidated software.
These guys do offer plugins for some federal resources, like Index and a couple of the other ones. So we can get some nationwide sharing that we don't have now. We can get the municipalities to buy into that. That would bring in a lot of the local information as well. But what Motorola has offered as well is with our radio system, the service plan, if we were to buy one and not maintain it ourselves, was incredibly expensive. They will throw that into the maintenance with this. So when one throat to choke, they'll be responsible for the maintenance and updates for both systems.
It's a finance, you said it's 5 years.
for the first 5 years. And they actually broke it down in here in the paperwork you guys have by town. So when we get to the end of that 5 years, we could give an idea for each agency what it's gonna look like for them to take that cost on. And from what I've seen so far, I can't get any hard numbers out of Central Square, which is the now owner of IMC, for what each town is paying them, but it's fairly comparable from talking to the few agencies I have.
I would imagine the chiefs would have access to that information, share with it.
Yeah, and the ones I've talked to, the proposed cost by Motorola for Spellman is close to what they're paying for the IMC support right now.
Alrighty, you have any questions? All right, what else we got? Next,
That's our biggie.
that's a big. What happened?
Next one, much smaller. We're looking to replace the gate opening systems and remotes for the back secure lot. Those are original from when that was turned into a secure lot. No longer supported, like you've heard from others today. I gave an estimate of 40,000, so all we could get was a verbal guesstimate from the gate folks. It's looking like they can do it for more around 18,000. They've come out and actually looked at everything. So we can expect about half of what the estimate was.
That's something that's used all the time too. So.
Yeah, so that'll replace the gate openers, all of the remotes.
Yeah.
Right now, we have 3 different opening systems on those gates.
Right, because you.
So some remotes work, some don't. And we don't even know where some of them are to be quite honest at this point. Our next one, video surveillance upgrades for the courthouse. And that includes our badge access system that you guys tap in to get in and out of the building. Another similar story that's now end of life. We can't get replacements for the server or the cameras themselves. Another challenge we're having with the camera systems is our equipment does not meet NDAA or the TAA standards because they're manufactured overseas. No direct impacts on that yet, other than we can't get the equipment. But the writing's on the wall, that's gonna start affecting some federal funding if we're not in compliance with those standards for all of our equipment.
How old is the current system?
It's early 2000s with the last documentation I could find.
Like the card access, we were doing that far back, okay.
Yeah.
From
what I
It's
could,
different, we had a pod, we had a.
it used to be a round,
Rounds, but it's a round pod thing we had.
it's the same infrastructure, we just changed to cards.
You change the.
We changed the readers.
The readers, yeah.
And it looks like that's the same time the large project was done to replace the cameras to what's existing in the courthouse. This also adds a couple of cameras to fill in some blind spots that we have that have been identified. The current system is still using some old coax drops.
Yeah.
And that's becoming very problematic to maintain.
Are they using CAD 5 or something, CAD?
The new stuff uses just network cable.
Network cable.
Yeah, the old coax drops are still using converters. And
Are they?
those are not reliable.
Yeah, they are. They're horrible.
We have to go manually reset them on a regular basis.
Right, yeah.
But that's soup to nuts. We'll call it a forklift upgrade, new cameras, new server, new software. The one thing we did add to this was putting the ability for the dispatch center to monitor that system. So if somebody needs access to the building, doesn't have a card,
Right.
for some reason, the folks at the MAG are tied up with something, they can buzz people in. And some of the active threat scenarios, from the new path they're going down, is having the dispatch center buzz the officers into the building, they can do what they need to. Lower down on our priority list, just looking ahead during the 6-year period, was replacing the dispatch furniture. That was purchased in 2015 through Watson when that whole room was redone. And
We bought all them special chairs too.
yep, the 24/7 chairs.
Yeah.
We still have those. Those we worked into the budget to replace one every
Right.
year to
Right.
just keep a cycle going through. There's no huge hit. But the furniture is quite pricey. The estimate they gave me was 180,000 to redo 5 positions. By the end of this capital period, the stuff we have existing will no longer be serviceable by the vendor. There's a lot of electronics in those to make them ergonomic, and
Right.
that stuff's no longer supported. should something go wrong with them.
Planned obsolescence.
And that stuff's only 9 years old. It was done
Yeah.
in 2015.
All planned. I love it. All right, what else you had now?
And the last one I have in our lowest priority, just thinking ahead again, is a replacement for our smallest drone.
Yeah.
One of the first ones the county bought, the little guy.
Yeah.
Today that's used primarily for SWAT missions by one of the deputies, but we also use it for search and rescue and any other needs it may have. But again, that one's reached end of life, so if something does happen to it, the replacement parts and repairs are not available. But there's enough stuff on the market right now, we've been able to keep a stock of the consumables on hand. And there's also a bill we've been watching that's in the Senate right now that's gonna ban this particular brand of drone. So I'm not sure what we're gonna do if that comes to fruition. That is the potential to ground most drones being used by public safety,
Where are we using, I
DJI.
know. We're using a target practice, they don't want it. It's an expensive ski.
Yeah.
How many drones do we have?
2 in service.
And honestly, speaking, Mr. Commissioner, when we had that, the resident decided he wanted to go visit his sister in Exeter, we weren't sure what his plan was, so I spent probably half an hour, 45 minutes, really getting the updated drone education.
We even put it on the big screen for you then.
Yeah, put it on the big screen so I can see it, but it's you know, I don't know, I mean, we work really hard for our residents at Riverside the thought of having the drone available should they be in this area. And again, we attributed the last one to Riverside and they paid us. Cause we included it. I don't wanna go and waste a lot of time, but we have to create an emergency plan for Riverside of the 10 most foreseeable emergencies that exist in our region of the country, so in our particular nursing home. Not number one issue, but a couple of issues down is the potential resident, wandering off from the facility. A number of our residents do have the capability of being alone outside, and we certainly encourage that. But on occasion, they'll just continue to walk or hop the bus, and that's what happened in the case of this gentleman. And, but the fear is, of course, that, they're taking a walk out in the back of the complex or crossing the bridge, down by the river. And this drone setup allows us to, search,
A lot of area.
in 1/100th of the time.
It took us about 40 minutes to clear the county owned property.
And that's pretty amazing. Imagine how many people would take to clear this property in 40 minutes.
And the cost.
Yeah, and totally unrelated, but I never realized there were so many deer out on the county complex. There was just hundreds of deer. And I'd say, what's that? Oh, that's a deer. That's a deer. It was surprising. Not that has anything to do with what we're talking about, but I just thought but it does indicate the sensitivity of the heat seeking piece of the drone. Cause it comes right up and you can see it has 4 legs and you can see when it's laying down and the whole bit. So it was something that was certainly interesting and really enhanced my knowledge of the system. They offered to let me land one. I said, absolutely not. I'm not taking that risk. In my luck, I'd crash it into some cruiser or something. I was happy to watch them do it. Thank you.
How many people do we have trained to operate those now?
We have 3 pilots right now.
And we
A
have,
few more in the works.
over the last couple of years, we have shifted to have sworn personnel trained in them as well. And that was a concern from my background, as far as having a SWAT scene, you want sworn people that are, if we send a civilian out there to run it, you're using that person, plus you're gonna have to send security with them as well. So we have sworn officers. SWAT has been able to integrate it with their mission very well. It was used on and off a couple months ago where they knew it was in a house and they'd been there for a while. But it wasn't something you wanted to go rushing in on, and they sent the drone in, and they found him because he started swatting at it and beating it and everything else, which is great.
And went in the building.
Inside the house, they flew it in through the window, went down the hallway, sure enough, he's there, okay.
It
now
just
we-
broke through a window or?
It was, well, they break those pretty quick,
Oh, all right.
once the standoff starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, they got him in, flew down the hallway, he was barricaded in the room, and that pays off in spades.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a human being in there, it's at risk, it's just, it's a toy.
So we don't have to look back that far, right? To
Right.
see what happens when you don't do something like that in a disaster that's.
And then something really
Mhm.
bad happens. We've been doing a lot of what we call reps with this thing, if agencies call and they ask for it, it's sent. Unless there's a hurricane going on, he gets a lot less sleep because of it. But we've been growing that program steadily, getting the operators more and more experience with it. Not so much just flying out the field here, but actual field experience, which is completely different than flying in the field, but it's doing well.
All right. Fine, you good? We got any next, Joe?
And we're putting the other part off, another week or so. We wait for some information to come in on some of the other items.
Okay,
As you know, we still have another couple of meetings to go and we get through the whole plan.
Yep.
Dougie's, will you be up for next Thursday, Dougie, do you
Yes.
think?
Yes, we'll be ready.
Okay, so what I'll ask, Janet and Doug to work on is make sure we separate it out, Riverside and then the balance of the county. Cause that way we'll be able to identify as part of the whole group, what will be reimbursable for Riverside.
all right.
And we are working every piece of this, Mr. Chairman, to, that if we should ever be so fortunate in the future to have a new facility, that these items that we're putting in at Riverside will be transferable.
Well, that's good. All righty. We'll see you guys probably at some point in the future.
And we'll see,
Always,
for sure, Dougie, next Thursday.
always got any questions of them? No? All right, guys, thank you.
Thank you.
No upcoming events that we're aware of, that no business, if you might wish to discuss.
I do have
Oh, yeah.
one item. We have three departments, deeds, the jail and the nursing home where we've had people leave recently,
Right.
a couple retired. And they were signers on bank accounts, so we needed to
Yeah.
take them off, put somebody new. So I have the documents for you to sign,
Okay.
authorize the new signature cards. That's,
No problem.
there are three.
I've been sending you a lot of those, I've been forwarding all those emails.
Yeah.
You just,
So that would be Ann Fournier at the House of Correction,
Mhm.
boss. Brent at Riverside,
yeah.
And
Christine.
and Ann Fournier at.
and Blackadar.
And Ann Blackadar at Deeds, who are all signers.
Gotcha.
They've come off. So
So as long as, we can take them off, but we can't put them on without your signatures.
we actually can't just take somebody off. We have to do a completely new
New
signature card with who, and
But I mean, we
they
can
have to be authorized by.
Yeah, we can stop them from signing things.
Yeah.
Not that we're worried. Everything, as you know, is a two-signature system. And, based on our most recent audit, we comply with all of that.
That means I can't take off for Brazil.
Sorry, you're not.
You need a cosigner.
You need a, I don't even think you're a signer, is he?
He is on the
Yeah.
general fund,
Oh, general-
the commissioners are.
Yeah. The general fund's always broke. Alrighty, yeah, you already done, you already done. Yeah. That's that, right? Okay, that's on the little business, we know, any business that's about.
No, sir.
All right, item 6, questions. or comments?
I should mention on COVID, we've had no new cases and
Yeah, how we making out?
we're timing out, as of, we'll test again tomorrow and presuming no new cases, then we're totally out of outbreak.
Okay.
You know that you don't. I know this will sound confusing, but you don't test positive cases. In other words, you can't test out of COVID, you time out of COVID.
Yeah,
You only test those people that don't have COVID to make sure that it hasn't developed. So, and we've had no illnesses other than a little runny nose. And some malaise. No one's gone to the hospital. We haven't had to send anyone out. And we also, and this is a little unusual, because in the past, it's never happened when we've had COVID before. We can actually trace it to where it started. We know how it began.
really?
Yep, yeah, we know how it began. It came in from the outside,
Right,
from, family member.
family member, right?
And certainly not her intent. And certainly not with her knowledge. And I've tried to get it tested, Mr. Chairman, because I wanted to just be sure. About 60 to 70% of COVID right now is called, the variant is called the flirt variant. And I wanted to try and get a test to see if, that, the difference with the flirt variant is it's highly contagious, but not usually very harmful. And in fact, honestly speaking, had we not been notified by that family member that they had tested positive for COVID, we might never have tested the residents that we had in the facility because their symptoms were that minor.
Yeah,
But obviously, once we got the information, we tested and that's what developed. And it is on the most difficult unit for us to ask the residents to wear masks and to kind of stay in their room, off the beaten path, so to speak. It's impossible on that unit. So that's I guess, the worst unit to get COVID on because, the residents don't have the capacity to understand
Yeah.
what you might be asking them to do. But again, fortunately, nobody got sick.
all right.
And, oh, by the way, tribute to the staff, it didn't spread to any other unit.
That's amazing.
Yeah, that's, I mean, we developed a mask on policy, of course. In other words, we went back to our mask on policy. And that was effective, I think, was the largest contributor to the fact that it didn't spread to any other unit.
God bless them for wearing those masks. It was 90 degrees. It must have been brutal.
So, yeah, it's when you know it, of course, they had to wear it during during our heat spell without any AC, so. I do have, sorry I didn't bring it with me, but I do have unit temperatures. I asked,
Yeah.
the units to, I'll have Dee come at the next meeting and report on those temperatures of the units, during, that heat spell that we had. I hung thermometers in central locations. I'll ask, I asked Dee to, monitor that along with assistance for maintenance, and as you know, we don't have maintenance on 11 to 7, so we asked nursing to help us, gather temperatures, so I'll have that. And we know our hot spots, I mean, we know what places are warmer than others, so.
Okay. We get our county attorney, do you have anything more for us?
No, this is good.
Absolutely. Okay, item 6, questions or comments from the public related to the agenda. Susan, you got something for us today?
Yeah, follow up with regard to our sewer line issue underneath the county nursing home, if we have any updates and where are we going with that?
You'll hear it next Thursday. Doug has the costs and the updates. So that will, he will provide all of that to you next Thursday at the commissioners meeting.
Yeah. And my standard question, asking the county commissioners come together to hold a public delegation meeting to discuss the county nursing home, and, would like to have an answer.
Well, the answer is, at this point, there's no need to do that. I mean, they're not gonna vote for it, so I don't know what we would gain by having a meeting outside of creating a media spectacle, which is really not what we should be doing. The Republicans wanna meet with us, we have more, we've extended that olive branch multiple times to see what they have in mind. And that offer stands. Unless my colleagues feel otherwise, that's how we're proceeding at this point.
So is what you're saying, if the Republican caucus came back to you and said, we'd like to have a public meeting, you guys would jump on board with that? And are you guys gonna set the agenda, or are you gonna set the agenda jointly?
Well, the agenda is to discuss the construction of a new nursing home. We've got, I don't have any objection to that, the discussions that revolves around the construction of a new nursing home. If it's gonna involve other things in a political season, I don't have any myself. It's a board's decision. But we put that offers out there. It's been
So,
there.
I don't mean to interrupt, but I just wanna make sure that I understand it correctly. That if the Republican caucus sent you an email or a letter asking for a public meeting of the delegation, so everybody who wanted to attend could attend, for the discussion of the construction of a new nursing home, you guys would be on board with it.
We consider it.
Yeah, absolutely would consider it. Yeah. I mean, that's one of the reasons why we asked them to meet with Republican delegation members in the beginning. We can do that in public. We don't have a problem with that, just to find out if there's anything they would or would not support. I mean, it's not any more complicated than that. And to
Well, I
make
think
it-
that there's a few other questions. So I guess when you make your statement, it leaves that little bit of gray area. And how narrowly focused are you gonna control the agenda for the construction of a new nursing home?
If they're gonna go down the path of wanting investigations, and these other things, that's not gonna fly. There's nothing to investigate. We've given Cliff Newton 1,000 pages of information under the Right to Know Act. There's nothing more to know. There's just nothing more to know. It is what it is. So they have that kind of, if they have that idea, if Republicans have that idea in their head, my answer to them is it's not happening. At least from my perspective.
Maybe they could put something in writing to us,
They will put something in writing to us.
saying what their ideas
their
are,
idea-
and we could discuss that.
Yeah, I don't have a problem
Just
with
have
that.
another meeting for that.
Have another meeting to discuss it. Turcott said himself it was a waste of time.
Yeah.
He said it publicly. We're wasting everyone's time. So I don't know, until that position shifts, What's the sense? I mean, that's what it boils down to. Just doesn't make any sense. And you probably wouldn't get a quorum anyway, because I don't think the Democrats would show up. And you need the Democrats for a quorum. That's what it boils down to. And you can ask me the question again next week, it's not gonna change.
That's fine.
Okay,
Just keep asking.
all right. All right. Okay, Chair, entertain a motion to move into non-public. Personnel,
Nothing.
Commissioner Roll.
Yes.
Commissioner Watson,
Yes.
myself, yes. Commissioner, to plan a non-public session. All righty.
Yes. Make sure thing. You want your packet here, George?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.